Participate in a conversation with once conservative, now liberal Midwest mastered prepared special education high school teacher and a self-proclaimed devil's advocate, East Coast conservative liberal, baccalaureate prepared registered nurse. These two strangers met, became instant friends, and realized their conversations are candid and epic. So join us weekly, ask us questions, and listen to these profoundly candid friends try to solve the world's problems, one discussion at a time.
Hey, welcome to another exciting episode of The New Theory with Monet and Jared, aka TNT with MJ. I am Jared.
I'm Monet.
And together we are teaching minds
and nurturing souls.
All right, guys, as you can see, it is just us again tonight. We're recording Thursday. That's our usual night. I'm going to be honest with you, based on our previous conversations that Monet and I have had in the past 48 hours or so, you're going to appreciate that it's just going to be us. Yeah. So
look at Jared's in the fighting mode, y'all. Look at his background. Look at his Razorback hat. Okay.
My sock
Need
cap.
we say more?
Shut up.
Yeah. That has everything has symbolism. You know, Jared as an educator always has like a double something going on. And when I literally, so he sets it up because, and I hate to fit stereotypical normatives. However, I'm always late. Jared sets up and I kind of go in. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, lead like Harriet, fight like Malcolm. I'm like, I get it. Yep. Yeah, I recall the conversations and we reiterate. And he's like, I got one or the other. I was like, well, this one, considering we're talking about this today, but yeah.
And even the color in the back with the names has some, you can interpret that as rainbow.
It definitely looks like a rainbow to me.
Guys, we really would like, we're really pushing for participation here. We don't want it to just be our show. We want it to be a collaborative thing.
Yes.
We that we like the conversations. We like hearing from people. We like talking to people. So if you have questions or if you've got your own comments or not even concerns, I suppose.
Let's start. Jared.
But shoot those at us at tntwithmj@gmail.com. That's tntwithmj@gmail.com.
Because if you're a business owner and you're like, you know what, I don't care where I'm at. If somebody hears it, then come, let's talk. Let's talk our political, our social, our foundations of evolution. I mean, do you know what I'm saying? Like Jared has a hell of a story. I have a hell of a story. We always talk about how we like talking about how we met. Let's talk about how your business got off the ground and how you feel the current political climate is affecting it or is not, and how you feel like maybe we shouldn't talk about some of the things you talk about.
Yeah.
But at least be with us and talk about it.
Absolutely.
We would love that.
So with that being said, we're looking forward to having our getting a new guest next week at the earliest, depending on his availability. It may have to be pushed back the next week because he is a small business owner himself. And so he might already have prior engagements for the evening that we suggested. So
Mm-hmm.
that being said, so Mona and I have our own questions tonight. She's deferred to me or allowing me to go first. So that being said, I've been pushing this issue a little bit because I've yet to get a real solid answer, in my opinion. So recently, most people are aware that, or the majority of folks know that Meghan Markle and Harry were on Oprah last week, did an Oprah interview. And I watched some of it. I watched Megan's part as she's yawning. That's hilarious to me.
I'm just sorry. All right, go ahead.
No,
that
I know.
Was like a.
No, that was good. But Meghan Markle apparently, she evidently dropped some bombs about the royal family, and ultimately accused them of being racist. Since then, the Queen has come out and said something in general support of Harry and Meghan. Um, and the specific thing that she brought up was that apparently a conversation had happened between her husband, Prince Harry, and
Mhm.
another member of the family, where the conversation of Archie, the son's skin color would be,
Mhm.
if it would be too dark, or what have you.
What is too?
Um, and so, yeah, since then, the Queen has come out and said,
You can't see them, but they're
no, you can't.
balloons. Go ahead.
Given general support, Prince Harry, Meghan, and Archie will always be loving members of this family. Be loved and be members of this family.
That's perfect.
And then Prince William broke his silence today and basically said, "Our family is very much not racist."
Bam, I'm out.
So,
Why am I out?
what is your
Jared?
take? Why
am I out?
I want to hear it. I love it.
First of all, I don't even have, and I'm gonna reiterate this. I don't have regular television. When I tell you my ex-husband, to all these people, like, did you see? I'm like, no. Well, Google it. You can live stream it. I was like, okay. And I go back to playing my farm game. Because it's not all right. And I know there's this obvious segment of the population that feels this way. Like, we just don't give a fuck. With that being said, no, it's history making, it's groundbreaking, and I completely get it. I support my brother. My brother's like, Monet, I really want you to get into this. I want you to see this. This is important. I want us to see, not because he's a vain, vapid individual. Trust me, he's not. He just finds that the significance of this because of how the royal family has been portrayed in all of our lifetimes, and the significance to just life in general. Like, they're the last of the Mohicans, so to speak. Okay. For them to have to face these allegations of, mistreatment and race, being, her having to deal with, what is it called? When you, what is it called, Jared? We talk about it, the not implicit bias, but the not systematic, but the microaggressions.
Microaggressions. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
the microaggressions associated with, like, just racial undertones of things being said, and her saying, "Hey, I'm experiencing that," and the world like, "What?" Okay, so here we have it. Okay, you're woke. Okay, and my brother's like pissed off. We got to fix it, and I'm like,
well,
Garrett.
No, here's the thing. I find it
they were
interesting.
the ones that listened to Portugal and was like, "Yeah, why didn't we think of that anyway?" Perfect. This is the country that ransacked the world from India to, even though the Dutch were there. Remember, the Dutch were relatively subservient to the Queen.
Yeah.
So South Africa. I mean, let's talk about it. Like, all over Africa, any English speaking country in Africa was a British colony.
Yeah.
So, like, can we just like, to me, I'm like, and then when I said I'm out, because William is like, FYI, I love that name. I love it very seriously, but
because your youngest is named William.
When William said, we're not racist, you're done. Fuck racism. You should be like, hey, I support my brother. Let's talk about if your brother's like, and his wife are like, we feel biased, we feel segregated, then what do you do from a therapeutic standpoint? I hear you. I respect you. I'm here for you. You don't come out for the public and be like, guess what? We're not racist. Well, who the fuck are you telling that to?
Yeah.
The public or your brother?
Yeah.
Now you fucking shit up even more. We already know y'all got shit with y'all. And we're not dumb, okay? Nobody, the curtain, it has been moved. The shade is there, but we can see through it, okay? And we're like, we don't. I'm gonna just say this, because what nation is so privileged to say we love money so much to pay X amount of money in taxes to keep people in a wealthy position? How psychotic is that? When people are starving around the world and even within your own country, you still idolize money, status, wealth so much that you just have to pay them to stay in that position. You're saying I'm paying more taxes. Now, they've had war upon war upon war because you've conditioned your society to love wealth. This is why the majority of people, I'm talking lower socioeconomic, white people, Hispanic people, Black people, and people that just genuinely like, I don't give a fuck about those people. Yes. Okay. If I give you credence, then you have audience. You're gonna dictate to me whatever you want me to believe. And I don't care. So I'm not paying attention to it. Not that anybody else should feel belittled. It is good, juicy gossip. It is good to see that maybe there's some reckoning coming to the royal family. And I know my brother's looking at it from a scientific perspective, like, how is this going to play socially? Do you know what I'm saying? No, I'm serious, especially in the wake of all this new enlightenment that the world is having right now.
Yeah.
But there's those.
Then I want to stop you and say, this is something that I've. So do you? This is the bulk. This is the core of my question. You're speaking to that you just spoke to the core of my question. So do you think perhaps Megan is playing to that sensibility?
Exactly.
And leaning into that topic to gain sympathy.
You'd be calling that shit.
I'm just asking, as plain devil's advocate. I'm not trying to say that she didn't go through some shit.
Yeah, no. I know she did, but I'm like, yeah, you picking right now. You picking right now. You could have picked like when the shit started happening to try to lay it straight. Like, she was raised by a Black woman. Nip that shit in the bud real quick. You heard somebody say, I ain't crying because you want your kid to be in my wedding. Whose wedding is it? Step off, bitch. Step off.
Now who's in the fighting mode?
Now who's in the fight, right? That's what you do, Jared.
Yeah, come at me. Come at me.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of, I do believe it's well, and it no, a lot of the comments I was also reading were speaking to, oh, poor white rich, or not white, but
poor rich
couple is crying boo-hoo because she couldn't whatever, and just making light of the situation. Now it's a little despicable. I
think their wealth and their status has nothing to do with who they are as an individual. You're right. And we should not look at it from these are two human beings embroiled in something that one of them could not get out of no matter what. Yeah. It was his birthright. And the other one is like, I can't help that I am the way that my parents fell in love and produced me. So with that
reminds me, speaking of birthrights, Archie doesn't have his.
Really?
They were talking about that was another one of the little bombshells that came out.
So he's not like a duke or something, or a cardinal or whatever they do. A lord.
They stripped him of his birthright.
Why?
Or if I heard that correctly, if I remember that correctly, I'm gonna have to go back and do some research on that and review that. But it was pretty sketchy. They were talking about the fact that they were gonna, because, I mean, what other reason is there?
I know. Because they didn't know what
literally,
he was
what other reason is there? Because if that,
all intents,
if she was
really Black,
I
meant, but like
I don't want to. If she was
semantics.
A white woman, if
she was fully white, then that wouldn't have been a question.
You said it. I didn't want to.
And if she was fully Black, then that wouldn't be. But for all intents and purposes, Megan looks Caucasian to me. I mean, she has been accustomed to identifying as Black, biracial, and it's not her fault. Look, we have to be very
Why would
sensitive.
you say it's not her fault?
No, I mean, not her fault. I meant to say this is this is new charted territory for me. Okay. When I say I'm coming from a relative racist home, prejudiced rather, I've heard, the terminology of half breed and stuff like that was not was not very far from my ear. Okay. And with that being said, I don't have any misgivings. I did always look at children who were biracial. Me being black, I always looked at them like, I know you got it worse than I do.
Mm.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's conflict inside. Coming from a woman that had to, for her entire life, identify as black, who was clearly biracial, I've experienced the pain via my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And being proud to sit next to her brown skinned grandchildren and saying, see, these are my grandchildren, I am black. Like having to say, I'm choosing black. Society chose black for me, but found out later in life she was choosing white sometimes too, so she can get an extra piece of bread and an extra piece of. But with that being said, I look at biracial children not like, oh no, I don't. But I know y'all got it hard. Those are conversations that we as a nation need to have, because as we sit here, we black, white, going back and forth, and it's wrong. There's a class of people out there that's like, I love everybody.
Yeah.
I love my mother. I love my father. One is black, and one is white. And all I try to see is the beauty in the world. And I don't like having to pick. I don't like having to identify.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the heartbreak for Megan, if we do want to come now, I'm leaning more of the compassionate, concerned Jared perspective, because I am devil's advocate. But I am leaning towards your perspective for the simple fact that this girl is speaking her truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not just coming from a fact that, it's coming like everything. And like, my blackness is not a bad thing. I love my blackness.
Absolutely.
But I'm also biracial. I'm white. And I have beautiful white experiences. I have beautiful white. Look at my husband. He's white and I love him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, one is not bad. One is not, one's not above the other. It's it works in, it's congruent. It works together.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an agreement or harmony.
Oh, okay. Okay. All
I'm
right.
smart. I'm using that. That's the word of the day.
There you go.
It's hard. The I could just come out with just a whole bunch of words, but I also want them to be,
Sure.
relatable.
Of course,
And like, how can you apply it in your everyday?
Yeah, it's like a comment that I made to a guy that, or I say guy, got into a heated conversation on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, yeah, how about you learn the word before you try to use it in a sentence? So.
Jared, can I explain something to you?
Because he used the word exonerate. And I'm like, no, acquitted does not equal exonerate. Perhaps you need to learn the words before you use them in sentences.
Jared, I'm gonna welcome.
I told you I was
in
a fighting mood that day.
White men don't like being told that. Okay, it's like not you, because you're a realist. But I'm talking.
I love it when they try to insult me. Like, I've been called communist. I've been called, oh my gosh, I hope you aren't married because I can't.
Socialist, communist. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Say it. What did he say? He said, I hope you're not married because.
Oh yeah, no, this other guy was telling me that, I hope you're not married, man, because I don't know who could tolerate you or be able to handle you or something to that effect, because he felt that I was coming, that I was coming at him hard. And, maybe, but
you just pull out your degrees.
But I'm sitting here like, no, dude, just here's where I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to point out the fact that I'm just going to show you how you are wrong. I want to present you the facts.
Period.
And that's it. And you want to argue and call me crazy, and then say that, man, I hope you're single because I can't imagine anybody marrying you for, and tolerating that, that type of thing. I'm like, well, married 12 years, 2 wonderful kids. And by the way, I am educated. So I tend to know what I'm talking about. And if I don't, I'll educate myself and then I'll come back, So, and then he's like, man, it sounds like you need some help or something. Oh no, actually that's when he flipped the conversation. He's like, I'll up you 3. I've got 5. I'm like, cool.
Great. Like, we don't give a fuck.
Way to detract.
Who's responsible and who's not? Let's go there. So let me stop.
Yeah,
because I can tell you, I got 4
seriously.
kids and I haven't been very responsible. And no, it's a joke.
No,
it's real. That shit is real.
No.
Anyway.
All right. So I've had my questions. You go.
My question is, so basically just say it like it is. Do you feel it's fair that transgendered individuals are allowed to perform in competitions based on the sex that they currently identify with, that they have been, I guess, enhanced, or they have been changed to, or they've morphed into surgically
Mm-hmm.
and chemically.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that it's fair that they participate in competitions that are solely based on sex?
Okay. So, a little bit of a loaded question.
That's a lot
Let's
of
be fair.
questions. I don't. Let's do.
So I'm going to directly answer that, but I'm going to follow up with my explanation.
Okay.
So, to directly answer your question, do I find it fair?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Absolutely, I find it fair. Do I find it equal? In some cases, no. But if you're going to make the argument about trans females competing in female sports, then in my opinion, you also have to consider females competing in male sports, such as that place kicker in, I think her first name is Sarah, but the place kicker at Vanderbilt. I think those two things go hand in hand. And I know
For football?
she's a football player.
Wait, is she a she or she a he?
No, she's a full blown
She identifies as a female.
She was
and she's
born and
playing on
identifies as a
football.
female. Yes.
Okay, and she's playing football. Well, that's a female playing in a male
But
sport.
my
All
point
right,
being,
but when the
in my opinion, they would go hand in hand, because now you're
but she's not transgendered.
So then
This
would
is
you
where
say
it
that
gets
then
this
would
is
you then flip the script? Would you allow would you think it fair or think it okay for a trans male to compete in football?
yes. Well, the same thing with the female playing. Okay, she's a place kicker. Fine. I mean, God bless her.
But now, but you can't. Here's the
But
thing.
I'm talking
You can't
about the
argue
female I'm talking about the female weightlifter.
There are. I will give you that there are some exceptions. Like, come on, you got to have some common sense here. I realize that you got that equality. It's a very fine line. Like the example for those listening, for those watching, the example that she's giving is that a this trans female, born male, competed as a weightlifter for 30 years. Well, not 30 years, but he competed until he was 30 as a professional weightlifter. Undergoes a sex change at 30.
That,
Competes as
mind
a
you, that was
female.
what, in 2016 or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's been
2014,
recent. Yeah,
18.
you're right, it's been recent. But now is competing as a female and has blown out all the records for female weightlifting. But let me ask you this though. What about if it was what of teenagers? What of children? Well, not children, but teenagers. We'll leave it at teenagers. I don't want to go
You
too
know
far
what?
with that,
Okay, so obviously our objective is to never have a discussion where we feel like neither one of us is being heard. And I hear you, Jared. I understand. And then when you bring up teenagers, it's like, okay, let the teenage, it should be maybe a hodgepodge. However, from a clinical perspective,
Mm-hmm.
when you are born a specific sex, the male, the muscle mass is more dense. You can change the organ, but the physique is the same. Okay? Simple. The physique is the same. You can change the organ, but the physique is the same. And as much as I identify trans men and women, love them. I mean, I don't want to be like, I love them. No, I mean,
No, I get what
you're
saying.
Mad respect. Mad respect.
Right.
I don't take care of my kids. I'll marry a trans male. If I find an addict, do you know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
a man is you're a man. Yeah, that's pretty bold.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the deal. You know, I'm not skeeved out or anything. No.
Right.
But here's the deal. Physically, these women who've been like who was born into that body, they
Mm-hmm.
can't, this is the physique they have, and they pushed it to the limits that they can. You have this physique. And I think it should be it's not that, you know, I don't, this is talking about the biracial thing. They can't help, you know what I'm saying? But you can't, it's not fair. You do have an advantage. Men are more have more physicality, have more muscle mass than women across the board. If I get a man that is my weight that I am right now, is nobody's business. My point is, I'm a hefty girl. If I get a man that weighs the same amount as me,
Mm-hmm.
he's going, I mean, we could be the same exact weight. He's going to have more muscle mass than me,
Mm-hmm.
no matter what.
Right.
Period. I don't care
Right.
what height he is. I don't care how
Right.
short or tall. If we weigh the same and he's shorter than me, he's still going to have more muscle mass than me. So my point is because that's how the physicality of men and women are. And when it comes in competition of force, of like you, this is that, like weightlifting, that's brute force. That's like real muscle mechanics right there.
And there's a young lady out, huge. I mean, she is shoulders above her own teammates. You were
like, is that
dude.
fair? Yeah.
I get
So,
you.
I mean,
No, I get that there are, like, again, there.
so this is uncharted
But
territory.
let me ask you this. So you've got a trans female, didn't compete at all as his original sex or her original sex, but then undergoes what she needs to undergo, right? And then starts competing. Are you saying that that's still not fair?
Jared, I don't know. I know we're just regular humans. This is not the be all, the end all, be all of, you know.
Oh, I know.
Like us, we're not. But I think we both came to terms last night with saying, leave it up to the athletes. If they say yes, they want to compete, and then maybe there should be like a class, a section, like this is where only the trans, you know, interact, with the exception of things that sports are making allowances for with regards to like the place kicker, you know, and modeling. There's a lot of trans females that are gorgeous and should be on the runway and should be walking and should be able to do face catalogs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm just saying, like, if you got it, you got it. But if it's wrestling or it's like, you know, bodybuilding, like, come on. Those things you just can't dispute. Okay. But I mean, like I said, that's just coming from my perspective.
No, I gotcha.
I mean, and we only because I asked you, because you're so like you have this nouveau riche perspective with regards to let them have a voice, let them speak. And I want them to have audience. I don't want them to be relegated to a corner. But don't you, as a trans female from male, don't you feel like, you know, they can't help it that because their muscle mass can only maintain, but maybe some of the female athletes are going to be like, I can, and you know, but hold on, these female athletes are taking steroids. All right, not steroids, but they're taking
testosterone and supplements.
Yes, they're taking supplements. I mean, you know, like, be in a class of your own where everybody. So then, to me, that's equal, because then everybody on that level is taking the same thing.
But then what happens if you don't have enough?
If there's two, there's enough.
For an exhibition.
Not an exhibition. They get a hold. They get the same money. They get the same. I mean, Jared, this is uncharted territory. This
You're
is very
right.
difficult.
You're right.
This is
And this is, and I'm loving it, because here's what I find very interesting. And look at you. Look at you. Uh,
because the conservative in me, there is still a conservative in here. And I'm sorry, my poor
Bring
girlfriend
it. Come
Margarita's
on.
like,
No, that's the point.
she's like,
I
that
told
opinionated bitch. Yeah, no, that's what
No, bring
Margarita's
it.
saying about
Seriously, I'm
me.
sitting
No,
here.
I'm just
I'm
like,
sitting here. I was about to
no,
critique on the
stop.
fact that you like just like, oh, now you're pulling back.
No, that's
Now
right.
you're
Because
pulling
last
back.
night,
No,
I was like,
no.
fuck no. Last night, I was like, fuck no. They just have to wait. God damn it, they had to wait this goddamn long. Get into your own groove. No, I think his medal should be stripped. I think the title should be removed, and he weightlift. Forgive me, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to be that disrespectful, but she should weightlift in amongst weightlifters that have endured and gone through the same thing she is going through. As
So then
opposed to
flip
these,
it around. Could she compete as a female in a male sport?
no, because she's a woman now. She's taking tests.
Well,
She's taking estrogen.
now you're
Yes.
saying that the place kicker in Vanderbilt can't play male sports.
She can play that because she's not.
So then why can't the trans female play in male sports?
All right. So let's say we have softball, right? Women's softball, and there's trans females and women's softball. In that medium, it's like a competition. You still, I think those levels of speed and accuracy and things like that, that doesn't matter. But listen, Jared, you're literally lining up a woman with a woman. They're lifting weights and they're trying to outdo each other. It's like it's going to be like this. But if you have one woman and her weightlifting skills are far ahead of everyone else's, and she happens to have been born a male, then that attributes to the fact that her physique, her muscle mass, her physicality is of a male perspective in it, and that it doesn't equate the same.
But then why?
Sorry.
No, you're good. Then why could she not compete as a male? Or not as a male, but in the male sport?
Because she's no longer male. She's, she's now.
Well, now you're saying she can only compete in female sports.
No, she can compete in female trans sports. Jared, they came up with the Special Olympics, okay?
You're going to compare that to Special Olympics? Really?
I'm just saying the kids couldn't compete with the other kids, so they just created an arena for them so that they compete amongst themselves and they all feel the exhilaration of the competition. Whereas if they were with children that had different physicalities from them,
I guarantee you, because I've seen it, that they would still be just as proud of their own individual accomplishments.
Yes, Jared.
So no, that's not going to.
No, I'm just saying. I'm telling you, this is the line. I have to, because I can't cave in on something that's like look at it. The Special Olympics and the regular Olympics. I'm just saying. The National Olympics and the Special Olympics, which is a national organization, they go all over the world. They have the same events just for people with like abilities.
I don't necessarily agree with that, because
I agree with that.
What about the Blade Runner? He actually competed in the Olympics in the last track and field events, and he competed in the regular Olympics.
Okay.
The Blade Runner is the fact that he has, for all intents and purposes, prosthetic legs from the knee down on both.
Oh yeah,
legs.
That's right. I've seen that guy. And he did compete because his times are so much faster than the individuals he was competing against. Okay, so then he got to compete. So then why doesn't this woman who used to be a man then go back and compete against men? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So you're saying, all right, so you're saying now that because he's so much, then she should now then compete against men.
If you're going to bring up Special Olympics and use that as the example, I'm going to throw the Blade Runner at you and say, hey,
Well, I love it.
and
there's other,
I'm sure there's other examples, but that's the first one that came to mind.
But that's education. That's education, Jared. As a conservative, coming from my conservative perspective, because I'm very much liberal, everybody knows that. But coming from that little nugget of conservatism that lives within me, I can admit, okay, well, then that's an opening, at least. That's something to say, all right. But right now, I feel the disenfranchised. I feel like the women that have competed against this woman that was born a sex, because and has that physicality of that particular sex, I feel like they're being slighted. And I want to like champion for them. I want to come to bat for them, because I'm honestly, when I looked at the pictures online, with her standing on the podium, and she's so gracious, but the people are like, and because society is so like, don't talk about them, or you're anti-gay, or there has to be mature conversations that need to take place so people can understand, like, this isn't coming from like, I'm a hateful person. This is just reality. Like, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, yeah, they created the Special Olympics, and there's probably swimmers, amputees that have performed.
Well, I'm sure. I'm pretty certain that the Special Olympics was. I have to go back and look to see when the Special Olympics was established, because I want to say the 80s, but I don't think that's completely accurate. So yeah, well, but I'm fairly certain that it did come almost as a direct result of the ADA that was signed into law in the 60s.
Ooh, civil rights. August 2nd, 1968. Okay. Washington, D.C. So definitely, right as soon as the Civil Rights Act came in, they were talking like, let's take care of people.
Yeah.
Let's take care of people.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things. And now it's a national organization that recognizes people of all abilities. Okay.
Right.
And with that being said, like, this is something that needs, before we go any further, we as citizens of the nation have to say, you know what, we identify that there are people out here that feel as though they were born in the wrong body. There are people out here that are not happy. I mean, it's not just about happiness. It's sustenance. Like, what is life? Do you know what I'm saying? And so they're not living their true life. And they're now, with them being able to come out and being able to identify with a specific, sex, like, I feel woman, I feel man, we should applaud them and salute them and be sensitive to these changes, because that's huge.
Yeah.
To say, you know what, like, what do? We put boys in blue, we put girls in pink, and we say, ha.
Right.
And say this is how they are, but they may not feel or be that way. But at the same time, there are those of us that want to sit here and say, you know what? No, because of these things. There's probably some women out there that are like, I wanted to be a model all my life, and here comes this trans woman that comes in with this 7'2", height, and this waveboard straight back physique, and they're gorgeous bone structure, and guess what? This is what we like right now. Get over it.
Yeah.
I mean, I tried. Like, there's certain things in conservatism I cannot get behind, because I like using thought and respect. Do you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I will also fight for thought and respect. Like, this needs, you can't just, all right, I'm now a woman, I'm gonna start powerlifting, or I'm gonna, think about those, head female competitions besides powerlifting. Like, what else?
Right.
I don't know, maybe the softball players be like, I don't want any trans women on our team, because they're men. They were born with a man's physique. You know what I'm saying? But we have to be sensitive and cognizant not to call them their former sex. We have to be respectful and call them the sex that they are now. And that I will get behind. Am I, I'm not impervious to mistakes. Okay. I will slip up, because this is a new mindset. We're learning.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah. And I will ask for forgiveness. I mean, trying not to, whatever. It's a process. All right. And
No.
this derives from personal conflicts with my own daughter, one of which is a lesbian, and she's very upset with sometimes how I refer to bad drivers. And this is a bad, yes, this
Okay.
is like it's hitting home. It's like, well, I was raised that way. It's not an excuse.
Right.
You
Right.
evolve, you grow up, you learn up. I'm like, but I'm so comfortable with using those words.
Right.
It's like, no, well, no. And then she throws it in my face. What if somebody called you the N-word, Mom? And I'd be like, are they my cousins? Like, what time
By the
we
looks
got?
of the clock, we're about down to our time.
We always
Um,
hit it too close because we wanted to
so
talk about
yeah,
something
no,
else.
we could keep going, but
No.
it was no, that was good. I like that. It was
I love it.
yeah.
I learned.
So we hope you enjoyed that conversation as well. That was um a little bit more heated than what we expected, and so it's good. Heat is as far as what
What we
Monet
can
and I will
do.
ever get.
Yeah.
um, but
Fisticuffs.
yeah, right. Oh, you win. It's okay. No. That being said, guys, we said at the beginning we'd love to hear this more of a. We want this to be a collaborative thing. We'd want to hear from you. We want you to be a part of this. We want to know what you guys are thinking, what questions you might have. Um, you know, so
We are imploring our listeners to please just say, hey, I want to be on the show.
there you
We'll
go.
throw you a calendar, give you a date, and send you and not we, it's Jared. We'll send you a Zoom link, okay? Jared will send you a Zoom link. And guess what? That's how it goes.
It's really that
Period.
simple.
And we'll talk.
Yeah,
And we'll come to terms because the objective is always to evolve and grow.
absolutely. So that being said, you can send that to our email, tntwithmj@gmail.com. That's TNT with MJ at gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on our Facebook page, TNTW/MJ. You can also like and subscribe our YouTube page, The New Theory, on YouTube. But
With Monet and Jared.
no, it's actually just The New Theory.
It is, you fixed it.
And really, I did. But we also wanted to make this a more full-time venture, which means that we need a little bit of help along the way. So, if you are so inclined, we would very much appreciate your donations and having you become a friend of the show on Patreon. And with that minimal monthly donation, you will get ad-free, commercial-free, and early access content. So we usually drop the show on Saturdays. Patreon members get it on Fridays. So and it's ad free and commercial and edit free. Yeah, unedited. That's what I was going for. Sorry,
Yeah.
ad free, unedited, and early access. That's it. So that being said, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we look forward to joining you again next week.
Yes.
Okay, last word.
Just love each other. And even when you argue, just realize you have an objective to get to and you want resolution with kindness and love always.
And
Bye.